Good evening, men. My apologies for the slight delay in our broadcast tonight. We had a few technical challenges, but we are trying to resolve them. And I do trust that we are going to have a powerful time as we share in the next few minutes. Last time we began a discussion about the pillars of authentic manhood, and we began to share and discuss about what are those things that should be at the core of the life of a man if he wants to live a life of significance and impact. And we did share and say that life is not just about existing to fill space, but it is about living to make a difference and to make an impact. And we discovered that there are certain things that must be at the core of your life as a man if you are going to be able to live up to that standard of masculinity that makes a difference and an impact. We started sharing and we said the first pillar is the pillar of identity, and we said that to know yourself is to know your greatness, and to know yourself is to know the power that has been made available to you as a man to live above the current realities of your environment and of your life. And so today I'm going to be taking us to the second pillar of manhood, which I call the pillar of integrity. And when we begin to talk about integrity, we realize that it is a very fundamental core in the fabric of societies that are progressive. If you look at any man that is living a progressive life, at the core of their lives you will find a solid, crystal clear integrity commitment in their lives. And so I want to challenge us today to explore this area of integrity and see how it affects our lives as men. And to begin our discussion, I'm going to allude to one verse of scripture that I believe is a basic tenet of truth that should inform our lives and even as we perceive integrity. Proverbs chapter 20 and verse number 7. The scripture tells us that the righteous man walks in his integrity, and his children are blessed after him. I want you to take a note of two things about that particular verse of scripture. And the two things are, number one, integrity is a walk. You cannot journey in integrity accidentally. Integrity is an intentional commitment to commit your life to living a value-based masculinity. The problem with most men in our generation is that we have thrown values out of our lives. We live based on emotions. We live based on opinions. We even lived based on traditions, but few and rare are the men that live based on sound and solid values. And that's why you find in our generation there is a radical spewing of horrible masculinity that does not exemplify grace and that does not exemplify dignity and integrity. And so the distance between a horrible man and an honorable man is the integrity in his heart. If you have no integrity in your heart as a man, you will deteriorate and you will move down to a place of horrible masculinity. But I want you to realize as a man that that is not the design of God for your life. That is not the design of optimized masculinity. If you're going to live a life of optimized masculinity, then you must put in the right software in your heart. And the software that drives dignity of manhood is something that we call integrity. Let's attempt to define integrity and see what it is. And there are three basic definitions that I'm going to give you that define what integrity is. Number one, integrity is consistency in truth. Notice the words that I'm using: consistency in truth. In other words, if you're going to be a man of integrity, you cannot be walking in occasional truthfulness. Your truthfulness, your commitment to the truth, and your commitment to honesty must be something perpetual and something consistent. You must purpose in your heart and determine in your life that you're going to live by truth and not by trends and not by traditions. The second definition that I'm going to give us of integrity is that integrity is the commitment to doing the right thing even when there is no supervision. If you are a man and you only do the right thing for the fear of being found out, then your integrity is based on a fragile foundation. A man of integrity does more right things in the secret more than they do them in the public. A man of integrity cultivates an integrity in their private lives, and the outflow of their reputation is just an outflow of what it is that is already consolidated in their private life. Number 3 definition of integrity that I'm going to give you is that integrity is the commitment to doing the right thing even when there is no reward for it. There are many times you will find yourself doing the right thing and you may not be rewarded for it, but I want you to realize that your integrity must be driven by something bigger than temporal reward. It must be driven by conscience, it must be driven by conviction, and it must be driven by a desire to do the right thing, because a real man does the right thing not because he will be rewarded for it, but because it is the right thing to do. There are 4 basic areas as a man where you will be tested for your integrity, and I call them the 4 traps of integrity that every man must face. Number 1 is the trap of mental integrity. Integrity does not begin in your behavior, it begins in your mind. And if your mind is not pure, your life cannot be powerful as a man. You must commit your life to making sure that your mind is not a garbage dump of all the moral filth that exists in our generation, but you must ensure that your mind is an incubator of purity. You must guard your mind. Boys release their minds to be the trash can of moral filth, but men rise up and they realize that their mind is the treasure house of their masculinity. They protect their mind, they guard their hearts, they do not allow their eyes to see that which is evil, they do not allow their ears to hear that which will pollute their minds. And so the first place of integrity, the first space where your integrity is developed, is in your mind. A man that does not have mental purity cannot have personal integrity, because mental purity is the incubator of the integrity of a man. The second place where you must watch for your integrity as a man is the place of your financial stewardship or your financial management. There are many men in our generation that have fallen down in this area because they have not realized that your financial integrity does not begin when you have money. It begins when you develop a value system that will govern how you manage your money or how you interact with money. There are 2 things that you must avoid as a man if you're going to build the fiber of financial integrity into your muscle. Number 1, you must take care not to be controlled by greed. An appetite for more, an appetite for greater, an appetite for things and things, an accumulation of things will never bring satisfaction to your soul as a man. A greedy man will never be satisfied no matter how much you have. How do you assassinate the giant called greed? You cultivate contentment, and contentment is the ability to be grateful for what you have even as you believe for the more that you desire to have. A contented man is not controlled by greed. They are not controlled by an appetite for more. They have said, many people have said that when you become a millionaire, most millionaires will tell you that the best gift that you can give a millionaire is another million. But when you look at that psychology and that thinking, you realize that it is a thinking that is polluted by greed. When you are dominated by greed, you're always looking for more as a man, and the more you get, the less satisfied you are. You must develop contentment or you will be a contentious man. The second thing that you must watch for in the area of financial integrity is not only to be controlled by greed, but you must make sure that you're not controlled by selfishness. And what is selfishness? I remember one of my mentors told me that a selfish man is a man who gets all he can and cans all he gets, and then he sits on the can. In other words, he is controlled by the desire to keep. He has never developed the muscle of generosity. You can never have true integrity if you are not developing consistent generosity. A giving man is a living man, and a selfish man is a man that is dying without knowing. Living without giving is dying without knowing. Life is structured in such a way that the existence of a man is cultured and cultivated in the cycle of giving. You give and you get so that you can give more. So number 2 is the pillar of financial integrity. As a man, the third pillar that you must watch out for, or the third pitfall that you must watch out for, is the pitfall of relational integrity. This means that as a man, you must make sure that you don't allow yourself to do things that harm others that you are in relationship with. That means that your disposition in relationships must never be driven by selfishness and self-concern. A man that is exercised in his relational integrity is a man that knows that they are in a relationship to love and to give. Anybody around you will only benefit from your presence when you are a lover and you are a giver as a man. But if you are a person that is always looking to get, you are a parasite, you are looking to get and to draw from people, you will end up causing damage in your relationships because you will not have something called relational integrity. Relational integrity means that you engage in relationships based on values, based on principles, based on things that can allow you to be a resource in your relationship. The fourth area that I want to mention to you as a man that you need to watch out for is what I call recreational integrity. What does it mean to have recreational integrity? It means that any time you are relaxing or any time that you're taking a break, you make sure that you don't allow your recreation to be a gateway to perversion. There are many men that work, and when they get tired, they allow their recreation to be perversion. They start watching things they shouldn't watch. They start listening to things they shouldn't listen to. They start reading things they shouldn't listen to. You can tell the integrity of a man by what he does in his recreational time, because in your recreational time you've let your guard down. You've left most of the times as men we open up the boundaries of our lives. And what I want to tell you is that if you don't watch what you do with your recreational time, you will use that time to get into perversion, and that perversion will lead you to destruction. A tired man is a vulnerable man. That is why the time that you must be most careful what you do with your time is the time when you're relaxing, is the time when you're taking a break and refueling for the next level of engagement. And so I want you to take note of these 4 things, because these are the 4 areas as a man you will be challenged. You will be challenged on your mind, you will be challenged in your finances, you will be challenged in your relationships, and fourthly, you will be challenged in your recreation. And so let me finish our conversation tonight by attempting to give us a game plan that will drive us to be men of integrity and men that walk in honor. Before I do that, let me share with us an understanding that will help us to know what is at stake for you as a man if you don't walk in integrity. Number 1, if you don't walk in integrity, you sacrifice your serenity, you sacrifice your peace of mind. And a man that does not have peace of mind will have his life shattered in pieces. Why? The peace in the mind of a man is what gives him the capability to pursue his purpose with resolve and with resilience. The moment your peace is tampered with, your energy as a man is downgraded, and you're not able to live to the fullness of your potential when you're not walking in peace. I love one quote that I read by one Martin Luther King Jr. He said that the softest pillow is a clear conscience. Anytime you live a life of integrity, one of the things that happens in your life is that you develop a clear conscience, and when you go to bed you can sleep like a baby because you know you have nothing to hide and you hide nothing. The second thing that integrity affords you, or the second thing that is at stake when you compromise on your integrity as a man, is your security. Your integrity is the security of your destiny. When you do not walk in integrity, you sacrifice your security. You open up your life to the assault of the things that come upon the men that don't walk in integrity. Have you ever realized that anytime you don't walk in integrity, you're always watching your back? You're fearing that somebody somebody may find out that you've compromised in one area or another. Why? Integrity is not a foundation of limiting your pleasure. It is a foundation of protecting your security as a man. And any man that does not walk in integrity will end up walking in insecurity. And a man that walks in insecurity will live a life that is below his true ability as a man. The third thing that I want you to realize that is at stake when you don't walk in integrity is not just your serenity, it is not just your security, but it is your stability. Have you ever realized that a man that walks in integrity is a stable man? If you walk in integrity, your marriage will be stable, your business will be stable. One time I interacted with a guy, and this guy was doing some work for me, and any time that I would give him some work to do, it was excuses after excuses after excuses. The guy was very good in what he did, but he was very weak in his integrity. He could not pick calls when I called him to ask him the progress of the work, and I realized that he was a man that was not worth me giving him business. I was one customer that he lost. Why? When you lose your integrity, you lose opportunities. One of the things that life does is that it rewards your integrity by opening up more opportunities for you, because you prove that you are a trustworthy man. So let me give you a game plan now as we bring our conversation to a close. A game plan on how do you build solid integrity as a man. If integrity is something core to masculinity, if it is true that integrity gives you security, if it is true that integrity gives you stability and serenity, how do we go about building a solid integrity in our lives as men? And I'm going to give you 4 keys that are going to help you to build integrity in your life as a man. The first key is what I call conscience. You can never build character on the foundation of a weak conscience. Look at any man who is deteriorating in his character and in his integrity, and you will find that the first thing that was compromised in their lives is that they began to do things that defiled their conscience. Your conscience is your alarm clock as a man. Your conscience is what keeps you on the track of integrity and on the path of dignity as a man. And this is why one of the things you must do as a man, you must expose yourself to things and to people that keep your conscience awakened, that keep your conscience alive, because a dead conscience will lead to a dead character, and a dead character will lead to a crashing destiny. You cannot have a living character when you have a dead conscience. And one of the things that I want to challenge you to do as a man is watch your conscience. Keep exposing yourself to the truth so that your conscience can come alive, because your conscience is your inner guide into the path of integrity. And when you don't walk in conscience, you cannot walk in integrity. Any man that values integrity must value his conscience. Number 2 thing that I want to propose to you as a man that you need to watch out for as you walk and you strive to walk in integrity is your choices. Your choices cannot be determined by your environment. Your choices need to be determined by your values. You must have inner values that are rock centered on truth, so that those values guide your decision making. Integrity is not something that is built on an instant. Integrity is something we build one choice at a time. And how do you build right choices if you don't have the right conscience? It begins with your conscience, then it goes to your choices. Number 3 thing that I want to propose to you as a man, if you're going to build integrity, you must watch on something that I call, so we began by talking about conscience, then we talked about choices. Number 3, I want to talk about something called commitment. A man of integrity does not walk by convenience or comfort. He lives by conviction and commitment. What does that mean? There are times you will find as a man that walking the way of integrity will mean that you expose yourself to uncomfortable situations. Sometimes you will be misunderstood by men. Sometimes you will be ridiculed by men. Sometimes you will be looked down upon, and you will will be called the soft man in the group. But I want to tell you something that I discovered. Only courageous men can do the right thing in the face of ridicule. It is weak men that turn away from the right thing just because they are being ridiculed. And I want to challenge you as a man to realize that the walk of integrity is a walk of commitment. It is not a walk of convenience. It was not convenient for Joseph to be able to run away from a woman that was trying to seduce him from going into a place of compromise. It was not a walk of convenience for a man called Nehemiah to continue building a wall in the face of ridicule. It was not convenient for Daniel to refuse to eat the king's food, knowing that he was going to be thrown into the lion's den. He realized that his commitment was going to be the anchor on which his integrity was going to be rooted on. And guess what? When Daniel proved his commitment to integrity, he became a senior leader in three successful government orders because of his integrity. Your integrity may provoke you to a place of discomfort in the present, but it will always lead you to a place of promotion in the future. Decide to be a man of commitment and not a man of convenience. Lastly, I am going to propose to you that not only must you be a man of conscience, not only must you be a man who makes choices that are rooted on principles and truth, not only must you be a man that lives by commitment and not convenience, but number 4, you must choose to be a man that lives in community. Integrity requires accountability, and you cannot be a man of integrity if you're not a man that has a community of men. I call it a herd of men that are driven by truth. They are not driven by error. They are not driven by public opinion. They are not driven by the popular opinion of men. They are driven by truth. All around you, there are men that are committed to living lives of integrity. You need to find them and make them your community of accountability. And guess what? When you look for those men and you put them around you, you will not only find encouragement, you will not only find accountability, but you will find the fuel that will keep you on the path of truth. And when you walk on the path of truth, you will end up in a place of triumph. A man of truth is a triumphant man, but a man that does not walk by truth is a man that lives a life that is mediocre, that is headed for a place of demotion and not a place of honor. Let me finish by saying something that I found that is very, very important. Somebody said this: every man desires honor, but the honor that every man desires can only be accessed by a consistency in integrity. I want to challenge you as a man today. Decide that you're going to be different from your other counterparts. Decide that you're going to be a distinguished man and not a degraded man. Decide that you're going to be a man that rises to the occasion and lives a life of integrity. Decide to be an ocean of integrity in a desert of compromise. And let me tell you something: when you walk away from the path of compromise, you will walk into a place of honor and a place of dignity. I want to challenge you to be a man that will stand for the truth, that will live by the truth, and that will walk by the truth. I cannot forget to remind you a beautiful poem that I read many years ago that has become my inspiration in walking my masculinity in the path of truth. And a person said, when the world sits down, stand up. When the world stands up, stand out. When the world stands out, be outstanding. And when the world becomes outstanding, be the standard. Be a man that lives in integrity and a man that walks in the path of truth and in the lifestyle of honor. I do hope that these few nuggets have inspired you and motivated you to challenge yourself to stand up for what you believe and to walk for what is right, so that you can live a life that adds value and a life that is full of honor and full of dignity, because that is what authentic masculinity is all about. I do hope that this broadcast has been a blessing to you. It has inspired you and it has challenged you to rise up and be an example worth emulating and not a warning being avoided. I pray that you may be blessed, and I pray that you may make a choice to live a life of integrity all the days of your life. I look forward to joining you once again next Saturday at a time like this. I'm sorry for starting this broadcast late, but I hope the few nuggets that I've shared have inspired you and motivated you to become the man that you need to be. Thank you for joining us, and enjoy your night ahead. God bless you.